Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, a little sunny out here. So, not complaining about the warmth and the sun here in lovely Florida. But hey, just want to put out a video again this morning, and I'll upload it to my channel as well as post it in my whatever the profile. I guess we call it on Twitter, X, whatever the hell it is. But I did ask for suggestions, and what would be the next video. So I think a lot of times as I think about all the posts that I read or even the ones I interact with or I read some of the thoughts that people post. Um, I don't judge people. I always say that it's not my job. It's God's job. And basically, obviously, I don't script my stuff. And but I can dislike, right? And if I can dislike something, I can have an opinion about something. But I think, and again, free thinkers love it when you guys have conversation, unite, and comment. Um, but I see a lot of posts that are just, I think, more emotional, and people that are pissed off all the time. And I get why people are pissed off. And I understand being upset causes emotion. So it makes total sense. But they post and they post and they post. And there's some big profiles out there that post, and a lot of it's anger. And I don't believe being emotional and being angry all the time is going to fix the problem. So yeah, that's why I look at it. Um, so I look at the current admin, and what I see is a lot of anger. I don't know, like you got Biden threatening U.S. citizens with weapons of war, which obviously I'm a little older, but in my age, so for a few, say for 5 decades now plus, I have never heard of such a thing. Um, so I find that to be a little disturbing. So there's a lot of anger going on there. And when I watched the politicians that are on television, again, a lot of anger, emotion, bad decisions. I don't think any of us actually make good decisions when we're angry or emotional. So much better to do when we're calm and we're clear thinking and we start looking at all the different avenues, right? But I think the idea again is it's always been the politicians' government to keep us all separated. They love doing that, and I think we're all kind of bought into the idea that it's okay to be separated, and we can dislike the other side and hate what they're saying and all that other stuff, but it doesn't. You can post away; it doesn't make a difference. I see I see the IDSC as large accounts. They post all the time, but they're always pissed. There's no, you can be pissed, but if you're going to say something, like in any job, all right, and if you are a leader in a company, you don't mind employees complaining. That's a good thing, right? Because at least they're thinking. But you always go to them and you say, okay, if you have a complaint, what is the solution? And so, what I would say, there's a lot of big accounts out there, and a lot of us follow them, and we read their stuff. Um, I don't want to call them out by name. I follow them because I want to hear or read what they're posting and what they're thinking. But I'm not seeing any, like, where's the answer? Where's the suggestion of how do we fix the current situation? We all know that the House of Representatives is screwed up, right? There's no balance of power there. We already know that the Senate, there's no way they're going to pass anything against any Democrat related issue because just the way it's split. And then I see people upset that, certain people are in Congress, being in the House of Representatives. And, the interesting part I think people have to go back and look that this really is a governmental issue in the sense that, they could say it was just Obama, but this hasn't been just, oh, he was worse, in my opinion. And I voted for the bastard twice. So, yeah, I believed in the great orator. Didn't work out so well. Never, ever again, by the way. But at the same time, our government brings in illegal immigrants. They've been doing this for decades and decades and decades. But what the DNC figured out, and with Obama, I think, especially in charge at that point, was if they concentrated where they placed the immigrants, like Minneapolis, Dearborn, um, so you get these cities where you're giving American citizenship to immigrants that are being brought into the country, concentrated into a certain area. All right. And this is the way our system works. We are a democracy. And if our government gives them citizenship, they have the right to vote. So in the House of Representatives, think of the word House of Representative, you're representing from where you come from. So if you put 10, 15, 20, 100,000 immigrants of the same country from which they came into one very particular area and you allow them citizenship, who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote for the person that represents them. So, do I think people should be kicked out of Congress? Mm, that one's tough. I mean, if you say they should be kicked out of Congress, then I guess you're going against the Constitution because the Constitution says we should have a House of Representatives, and that's not the problem. The problem is our government, how it behaves, what it does, and what it creates. So, but even if you see one, two, three, four that you really just dislike, I get it. But it's only four out of 400. I mean, don't give them a voice. If they misbehave or they say something that is anti-American, um, there are actions that we can all do, like vote them the hell out, maybe. But I don't think their communities are going to vote them out. That's just how it's going to work. So, when people look at how do we fix it, it's education. At the same time, we have to realize that, you know, it's been a long time, say since the 30s, where we've had this kind of influx of immigrants. And in that time, when they all came to Ellis Island, and including my grandparents, by the way, people settled where they have the most commonality, right? So if you have Germans or you have Italians or well, there was a lot of Muslims at that point, the Puerto Ricans. I mean, everybody had little towns within a big town, but everybody lived amongst who they felt most comfortable with. It just makes sense, right? It's not bad; it's normal behavior, and therefore they're going to have to vote for that representative that they feel is best. Um, at the same time, the process was that there was assimilation, right? That's why they called it the Great Melting Pot, right? Because America has a culture, it has a constitution, it has beliefs, it has morals, values. Well, we used to on many things, and everybody was expected to learn the language, become a part of it, this great country, and contribute. That it was that simple. That's all it was. And nowadays, that's not the expectation anymore. So now it's almost as if people are brought in, given land, and it becomes their land, not part of the U.S., and they want to change the laws accordingly so that it reflects their culture, not that of the United States. So when you look at people that they just regurgitate everything they're being told on mainstream media, and that's literally what I see postings, even from these big accounts. Yeah, I get Speaker Johnson is maybe he's a dipshit. I don't know. Obviously, his decision making not so great, but then again, none of them have been. And everybody says, well, Trump, bad man. Well, I say, why is he a bad man? And they always get the same stuff. It's an it's all mainstream media rebuttal. That's it. That's the only answers they ever have. And if I say, Biden is an old person with dementia who is not in charge, because I see it, I can literally watch the guy. I mean, the guy trips, falls. I mean, can't read a prompter. I mean, the guy's not in charge. So that means somebody else is. But maybe there's always been a somebody else is. And this goes back to even Trump. People say, why didn't Trump do everything he said he was going to do? Well, maybe he's still in the process. I find it interesting that everybody he kind of supports goes into a limelight, and once they're in the limelight, they fall apart. It's kind of interesting. So is he playing a 4D chess game? I don't know. Did he achieve everything he was supposed to, or everything that I thought he was going to? Nope. But I also look back at all the people that he surrounded himself with, and I say, how the hell did we get this FBI director or this CIA director or who was in charge of our military? And all these people were, I mean, if you're become the president of the United States, you're not in that inner circle your entire life. You are surrounded by a lot of people who you have to either trust or not trust, right? And maybe Trump obviously trusted some people, like Chris Christie, who recommended the FBI director that is currently serving to Trump. Look how that turned out, right? If you look at all the people that were within Trump's circle, because that's who encircled him, It's kind of interesting to look at it and go, okay, what the hell went wrong? Well, I think it was that inner circle. People like Paul Ryan. Wow. I mean, I've disliked this guy for a decade. Don't like him in any way, shape, or form. Um, and I think he's evil. Personally, he was Speaker of the House when Trump first got in, did absolutely nothing to support any of the agenda that or anything necessary to help the American people. And where is he at now? Sitting on the board at Fox. And what do they do? Yeah, he makes decisions that would rather go with pharma um, and get rid of people like Tucker. And yeah, this is where these people sit. They still sit in seats of power that actually have more power than he had when he was Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, he had to actually get 400 people to agree on something. Now he sits on a board of directors where maybe there's 10 people and he has all kinds of power. So, the mainstream media, don't listen to them, man. That's what I would tell you. And I'm not part of the mainstream media, so sure as hell don't listen to everything I have to say. This is all about free thinking, kind of get the whole thought process going, right? So when people say, how do we fix it? We have to fix it internally. We have to fix it ourselves. And I'm not saying anarchy. I'm not saying that crazy stuff. Don't get all, civil war. I see people post about civil wars. And I have posted many, many times. Civil war is not going to happen there's nobody. I'm not picking up a rifle to go shoot my neighbor. All right. I don't care if I disagree with their politics and everything. I mean, literally, that not happening. Okay. We still live in a civilized society. Where is civility falling apart? Are in our inner cities. So in our inner cities, well, they were bad already, but now what we've allowed by the government and this admin is to throw 10 to 12 million different people into where the inner cities. So unfortunately, as I posted many times, the inner cities is where I believe if any type of civil war comes, it'll be from there. And that'll be a clash of cultures, which is going to be very unfortunate. Especially for the minority class who generally live the majority in the inner cities. They have for decades and generations, right? That's where they choose to live. It's fine. But at the same time, they have resources. In other words, they have medical, they have hospitals, they have grocery stores, they have all this stuff. But you think, what has been happening over the last 6 years? All of their resources just being consumed and reduced by nothing but violence. Antifa, BLM, the immigrants, the DAs that don't press charges, the police that are not allowed to arrest people, emptying jails. So when people say, how do we fix it? Well, we had the answers. We just reversed everything. We allowed this to happen and I say because we allowed these voted elected people to do this to us. So I guess rather than sit around bitching, pissing, and moaning, calling people names, I drop F-bombs on my posts. I certainly swear once in a while. So, hey, to each his own. And I know I brought up a lengthy video. But at the same time, I'd say, you know what? Stop your bitching, pissing, and moaning. And if you're going to do something, offer the suggestion that will actually help. Right? Getting rid of the Speaker of the House currently right now, not going to change a damn thing. We all know it. So why keep posting it on a friggin' day? All of our money being sent to Ukraine, absolutely wrong. I posted about it a million times. Ukraine had no military. There was a Nazi party that said, hey, we will back up Zelensky, and Zelensky made a deal with the devil, right? So now you got a bunch of Nazis fighting against the Russians. If nobody knows history, I mean, the Nazis killed 25 million Russians. How do you think it's going to go? The Russians are not going to accept that. If everybody says, oh, Russia's bad and horrible, okay, well, they didn't attack us. The Minsk Accords were in place. Putin did not want this war. This is back when Trump was in. And, it all went to hell in a handbag when Biden got in because he decided that Newell would just go in and tell him we're not signing, that Ukraine couldn't sign the Minsk Accords. So there's a lot of history that goes on in between all this. And, we were warned back in the 40s, that the industrial complex is a thing and they control all things. And war and neocons are something I absolutely dislike. I don't get why people are so willing to die and go to war and just demolish countries. I mean, it literally makes no sense. But they continue to support it, continue to do it. So if you're sitting on one side of the aisle and you think it's great to send billions of dollars worth of equipment and military equipment and all this other stuff to a country, for what reason? Because if you look at it, the Donbass is mostly Russian descendants, right? And all Putin asked was to stop the genocide, right? So Ukraine does not like Russians, never have. Kind of like the Middle East, the people if they haven't like Trump said, if they haven't gotten along in 4,000 years, what the hell are we gonna do in 10? It doesn't matter. Leave them the hell alone. But again, people support this, but they don't. They support it based on mainstream media and not what the truth is. So I hope people would actually be free thinkers, research the why, always ask why. And as far as our home, the United States, anybody that calls it the homeland, by the way, don't trust them. We're not the homeland. We're the United States of America. The homeland didn't exist as a term, mind you, until the 9/11 incident and Bush, Cheney, right? Weapons of mass destruction. We were lied to. Millions of people died. Um, Trillions of dollars spent. I mean, it's just pure insanity and evil on both sides of that aisle. So anybody wants to sit there and say this is about a party, this is never about a party. It's about a person. It's about a movement. It's about Americans that when they say make America great again, how is that bad? I don't. It literally makes no sense for somebody to be against it. When they sit there and blame Trump because, well, Trump took a little credit, so that's his fault. But anyway, SCOTUS overturning Roe versus Wade. It should have never been a federal government decision to begin with. That's what they said. That's what most people I would agree with. And even Trump is now coming out saying, hey, I don't want no federal involvement. In other words, leave it up to the states. And I used to live in Ohio, and they put on the ballot, and Ohio backed up allowing abortions. Well, that was the democracy, that was the vote, and that's how it happened. So now, for all those out there that are saying Trump is this horrible person because SCOTUS overturned Roe versus Wade, they want a federal law that just allows this thing, and men shouldn't have an opinion. I love this one. Men should have no opinion on abortion. Well, last I checked, it takes two, man and a woman, make a baby. I have plenty of children. Never had one of them on accident. I'll blame the alcohol. But anyways, yeah, I think we all have an opinion. What I would say to you on that one is, so if a friend of yours, friend of mine, friend of anyone, is pregnant and they're looking forward to having this child in 10 months, going to have new life, and somewhere along that way, nature takes its course and a miscarriage occurs. Well, guess what? It's heartbreaking for the man, for the woman, for the people involved. Um, and we cry and we hurt and we're emotional about that. But yet, people will say that that's acceptable, right? Miscarriages happen, and where it's okay to feel bad for people and have emotion. But yet, when you talk about the word abortion, they say that goes not life. Well, somebody's got to make up their mind, right? And again, not telling you what to think. I'm just presenting two sides of an issue, right? If a baby is, if there's a miscarriage and the baby dies, we're sad. When somebody does an abortion, those same people who feel bad for their friends who have a miscarriage have an abortion and say it's not a baby. It just, you got to say it out loud. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So anyways, almost 20-minute video. I'll upload it. Hopefully you'll watch it. And I'd love to hear the feedback. I mean, gave a lot of comments and questions, and we'll see where this goes. Hope you all have a blessed day. Talk soon.